Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Markets to Watch from Smack the Markets for week commencing the 13th of May. So last week ended with quite a lot of dramatic volatility in the markets, and I suppose the question is how is the markets going to open up this week and what can we expect? Well, I suppose with the tweets and the sort of news flow on the US and China trade negotiations over the weekend is anything to go by, then maybe this week may well be an interesting week for the markets as well. So let's go and take a look at a few markets here that we're starting out with focusing on in the trading room this week. So if we come and take a look at the US markets here, take a look at the Dow, which is our favorite one out of the bunch. The Dow Jones here continues to be in a nice sort of solid short trend, and the level that really is in question is this 25,500 level. If we take a look at this on the weekly chart, we can see 25,500 very well tested here on the weekly chart. It's tested it once last week, and now it looks almost certain that the easy move is for a retest of that level. The big question is what happens once the market gets there. Is this an area where the market's going to find support, or are we going to be looking for short moves after that? You can see underneath there's a fair distance here of a trading window underneath price. Coming down to the lower time frames, we can see that a little bit more defined. So we can see 25,500 sort of very not very far away at this moment in time. Underneath that is the 25,000 level. That's the big sort of key level that I think here is in the market. So there's a decent sized trading window underneath price should it break that 25,500. So again, from a trading perspective, we will be looking at opportunities in between these sort of levels, in between these sort of trading windows, as we call them. The market's just sort of breaking into a new trading window at the moment. And well, if this trend is going to continue, then we may well be looking for opportunities for moves down towards those lower levels, 25,500 and 25,000 throughout the early part of this week. So let's come and take a look at our sort of commodity for this week. So we're switching over focus here on the oil markets. Silver continues to play out short. That was the market that we've been looking at for the past sort of couple of weeks now. So it's still looking nice on the short side. If we come and take a look at oil though, oil's starting to look a little bit more positive here, and we're looking for a push up to at least a medium-term test of $65 level. If we take a look at this on the weekly, you can see that the market's clearly sort of found support here on the weekly chart at around that $60 level. If we can get a break above last week's high, then that's going to sort of lead us into a nice move up to the $65 level, and then possibly up to this sort of 66, sort of 50 area. So if we come down to the lower time frames, you can see this a bit more clearly. If we take a look at this on the 4 hour, you can see that we've got this sort of turnaround with this higher lows forming here in the price action. The sort of area where I'd certainly be starting to look a bit more interested in getting positioned is just above this sort of breakout line here on the 4 hour time frame. So that's around the sort of 62.50 area. Above there, we get out of all of this sort of consolidation. We get out of this sort of previous support, which is now going to become resistance area, and that sort of gives us a nice sort of setup into a free run up towards that sort of 65 sort of area. So if I sort of mark that in, you can see just sort of shy of that sort of 65 area, 64.80. There's been significant sort of resistance before. That would be our sort of trading window that we'd be looking for opportunities long in. Now, from a currency perspective, there's a couple here that we initially like in, and that is the Great British Pound against the Aussie and Euro against the Aussie, which are very sort of similar sort of structures here. If we have a look at this from the higher time frame perspective, you can see that on the weekly that the Great British Pound against the Aussie is breaking out to the long side. We've got a nice sort of well-structured long trend here, and it's above recently broken out above significant resistance and structure levels. So the trend here looks free to run to the long side. If we come and take a look at this on the daily chart, we can see on the daily that the market's just powering off from this or bouncing off this sort of area here where there's been previous support on the daily. So again, continued moves on the long side could look very sort of positive. On the 4-hour time frame and the medium time frames here, we can see again that the market's pushing to the long side, and there's a bit of a breakout level here, which is our deciding factor. So if we come down to the 60-minute chart, you can see on the 60, along the highs here, we've got sort of previous pivot points and a level here around 1867, which is a level that's been tested multiple times. So a breakout of this level here is our sort of key here to look for longs on this market. It's also, by that time, we'll also have a pretty well structured long trend on these lower time frames as well. Now we'll come and take a look at this on the euro against the Aussie. As I said, very sort of similar structures. Euro against the Aussie here, again breaking out on the weekly chart to the long side. Again, intraday time frames across every time frame, really, from the daily down. This market's in long trend structures, so high highs, higher lows, moving average geometry, convergence, etc. So again, two markets here that we're looking at for longer opportunities this week as those sort of trends continue. Certainly hope it helps. Look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.